Imagine a vast desert, endless waves of golden sand stretching to the horizon. Now, add to that image a million hopping rabbits. Sounds like a surreal scene, doesn't it? But that's exactly what happened in China, in one of the most intriguing and controversial decisions in modern history. Welcome to one of the most fascinating mysteries of the 20th century. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any revealing and intriguing videos like this one. You won't want to miss the secrets we're about to uncover. Our setting is the Tengger Desert in Ningxia Province, northwestern China. A place where temperatures can range from 40 degrees Celsius during the day to minus 30 degrees Celsius at night. A hostile environment for most life forms, but which became the makeshift home for a million rabbits. But why? What led the Chinese government to make such an unusual decision? To understand this story, we need to go back in time to 1950s China. The world's most populous country was facing an unprecedented crisis. With a population of approximately 580 million people at the time, hunger was a constant threat. Mao Zedong's government was desperately seeking solutions to feed its vast population. It was in this context that the Great Leap Forward emerged, an ambitious economic and social plan aimed at transforming agrarian China into an industrial powerhouse in record time. And this is where our furry protagonists enter the scene. Rabbits were chosen for a simple reason: rapid reproduction. A single female can have up to 12 kids per litter and several litters per year. Do the math. In a few months, a pair of rabbits could turn into hundreds. The plan seemed perfect in theory, but reality proved to be quite different. What the government didn't foresee was the devastating impact that a million rabbits would have on the fragile desert ecosystem. The rabbits, in their search for food, began to devour the little existing vegetation, accelerating the desertification process. The sand dunes, previously contained by the sparse vegetation, began to advance, threatening nearby villages and agricultural fields. But the story gets even more intriguing. Reports from the time suggest that many of the rabbits didn't survive the harsh desert conditions. The scorching heat during the day and the freezing cold at night were too much for the small mammals. Moreover, the lack of adequate water and food made survival an almost impossible challenge. So why did the government insist on this idea that seemed doomed to failure? Some historians argue that the Desert Rabbit Project was more than an attempt to produce food. It was a symbol of the state's power over nature, a demonstration that with enough determination, even the desert could be tamed and transformed into productive land. But the consequences went beyond environmental impact. The Tengger Desert Rabbit Project became a microcosm of the failures of the Great Leap Forward. Just as rabbits died in the hostile environment for which they were unprepared, millions of Chinese suffered from hunger and the poorly planned policies of this period. China's population at the time was predominantly rural, with over 80% of people living in the countryside. The Rabbit Project was sold as a miraculous solution for these farming communities, promising an abundant and fast-growing source of protein. However, reality proved to be quite different from the government's grandiose promises. A fascinating curiosity is that, despite the initial failure, the Tengger Desert Rabbit incident wasn't entirely in vain. Decades later, Chinese researchers began to study the few rabbits that managed to survive and adapt to the harsh desert conditions. These animals developed unique characteristics that made them more resistant to drought and extreme heat. This discovery led to a new field of genetic research, focused on understanding how animals adapt to extreme environments. Scientists hope this knowledge can be applied to developing more drought-resistant crops, something crucial in a world facing climate change. But let's go back to the past. The Desert Rabbit Project wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a series of audacious and often ill-conceived experiments that characterized the Great Leap Forward. Another notorious example was the campaign to eliminate sparrows, considered a plague for crops. Millions of Chinese were mobilized to scare the birds, preventing them from landing until they fell dead from exhaustion. The result? An ecological imbalance that led to an explosion in the insect population, which in turn devastated crops. It's impressive how a seemingly simple decision can have such complex and far-reaching consequences. The story of the rabbits in the Tengger Desert leads us to reflect on the complexity of ecosystems and how human interventions, however well-intentioned, can have unforeseen and lasting consequences. It's a powerful reminder that nature cannot simply be bent to human will, but must be understood and respected. But what happened to the rabbits that survived? Reports from travelers and researchers suggest that small rabbit populations can still be found in parts of the Tengger Desert. These survivors are a testament to the incredible adaptability of life, even in the most adverse circumstances. These remaining rabbit populations have become a curious attraction for the few tourists who venture into this remote region of China. Imagine the surprise of coming across a hopping rabbit amid the sand dunes. It's like finding a living piece of history, a tangible reminder of one of the most unusual experiments in modern history. The desert rabbit incident also makes us think about the relationship between humans and the environment. In the search for quick solutions to complex problems, we often forget to consider the delicate balance of ecosystems. This story serves as a warning about the importance of more holistic and sustainable approaches to natural resource management and food production. It's fascinating to think that decades after the start of this controversial experiment, we're still discovering new facets and consequences of this decision. Science continues to study the long-term effects of this intervention on the desert ecosystem, revealing layers of complexity that the original planners could never have predicted. The legacy of the rabbits in the Tengger Desert goes beyond China. It has become a case study in ecology, environmental policy, and even management courses, illustrating the dangers of seemingly simple solutions to complex problems. It's a powerful reminder that our actions can have consequences that extend far beyond the horizon we can see. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this story is what it reveals about human nature. The desire to control and shape the world around us, even when we face forces much greater than ourselves. The ability to dream big, even when reality suggests caution. And, above all, resilience, both of the rabbits that somehow survived in the desert, and of the Chinese people who faced the consequences of this and other similar experiments. As the world faces increasingly complex challenges from climate change to global food security, the story of the rabbits in the Tengger Desert remains relevant. It reminds us of the importance of carefully considering the consequences of our actions, of respecting the delicate balances of nature, and of the need for more holistic and sustainable approaches to the problems we face. And so, we come to the end of this incredible journey through the Tengger Desert in Chinese history. A story that began with 1 million rabbits and led us to profound reflections on ecology, politics, and human nature itself. If you were fascinated by this incredible story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We have many more intriguing stories and surprising revelations to share with you. Together, we'll continue to unravel the mysteries of our world, one video at a time. Until next time, and don't forget, reality often surpasses fiction.